vehicle?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address. And now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. They're fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah,
Do you have your doors locked?
it's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
And boom, here we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. And of course, joining us tonight is Lewis. It's been a while. Welcome, Lewis.
How are you? Thank you.
Good.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah,
I thought about you earlier today, Lewis. I was at McAllister's and I was refilling my tea and I was like, I wonder if Lewis went to McAllister's today.
You should have messaged me.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you back. And everyone that knows Lewis knows that, especially when we've done Delphi, Lewis has been on the channel because that's really the case that he was following. Not so much up to date with Nicola Bully, and we haven't been doing too much with Brian Koberger lately. Again, just because it's like I'd almost consider that if we were doing that all the time, like grifting. Pretty much, kind of same with Delphi. So we all know that tomorrow is Kegan Kline's appearance in court at 10 o'clock. So before we get started, we'll give some hellos and then we'll get back to Lewis again. So Callie's in the house. Hey, Callie. Shelly's in the house. Sharon Parker. Welcome, you guys. Let's see. It's a crime and shame's in the house. Hi, Kid Kitty. Hello, Kid Kitty. Haven't seen your name before, but how are you? True Crime Housewife's in the house. Lacey's in the house. Lacey.
Lacey.
Cheryl.
I feel like Lacey's a day older than she was yesterday.
I feel like she is, too. I feel like she is. It was after the fact. And so Lacey had a birthday yesterday. She tries to pretend like she turned like 25, but really it was 65. She forgot about 40 numbers.
37.
Let's see here. Ray Jones is in the house. Hey, Ray. How are you? Forever Young. We try.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Let's see here. Lake Michigan, PJ's second chance.
Hey,
PTM's in the house. Did I say hey to Callie already? I think I did, but hey, Callie again. Kathy, let's see. Sees Through's in the house.
Good to see you, Sees Through.
Yeah. Kathy Chapin, Mandy Rose, Bass Girl. Didn't call you Bass Girl. And let's see.
Hey, Mandy. Hey, Sharon.
Yep. So welcome, you guys. Again, we're going to be talking about, and I'm glad Lewis is here because it's been a while, Lewis, and I really kind of, I like it when you give your thoughts on the Delphi and stuff like that, and a lot of other people do as well. So again, if anyone doesn't know Lewis, do you just quickly want to tell a little bit about your background again to some people that don't know who you are?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm in Indiana, not too far from Delphi, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours north of there. And sort of been following the case since it happened.
You're going to court in the morning in Peru?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
So you're going to go to court in the morning in Peru?
I wish. Tomorrow's a very busy day for me. Actually, if it was today, I was going to go. But with it being tomorrow, I just can't make it fit. Otherwise, I really did want to go down there. It's like 100 miles from me to the courtroom, so it wouldn't have been too bad of a trip. But
nice.
We'll have to put that one off this time. Time just doesn't work out well.
I apologize. I didn't interrupt you.
No, you're fine. It's better to have more conversation than just lecturing. But I'll just go on lecturing for hours if you want me to.
Yeah. Well, I thought he said you're muted, and I'm like, I can hear him just fine. That's what I thought I heard.
No, Adam sounded like it was like he was in a tunnel for a minute. I think it was just the connection on my end.
Yeah.
It's not been. Anyway. This weather's been goofy. Like we had snow again this morning. Tomorrow's supposed to be in the 50s. It can't make up its mind. So everything here is kind of goofy.
Yeah, that's quite the snow you got behind you there, Lewis.
If only, right?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, go on, Lewis. Sorry, go on.
But my eye keeps changing, but I think I can handle the light better. So coming on, I want to give it a test tonight and see how well I can hold up watching the screen and doing all that nonsense. But
sure.
I followed Delphi pretty thoroughly. I've got to know people that are local, and I talk to people on the regular still now. And I've gone down there and I've walked certain trails and looked at different things by myself and sort of soaked it in. I've had a different picture in my head from the beginning than I think people did for a while. And there's just so many things that I can't rule out. So I can't really say I've got one theory over another, but I've looked into multiple theories and I just keep them floating around till I can rule them out too.
Mm-hmm. I know Lewis never says this, but I like to say it, even though he doesn't. But he did work in the DA's office for a while back. So he does have knowledge of stuff when he is talking. Yeah. It's not what he's doing now. That was years ago, but still. I just like to give some credit because regardless, it's part of your life and part of your experiences.
I appreciate it.
So
a long time ago, it's a different route that I chose not to continue because the area that I was living in and grew up in, the moral aspect of the DA's office was not what I felt it should be. So I didn't proceed with that any further after a couple of years. But everyone's got their own ideas on how things should run, and I picked that as my internship because I felt that was the right side. And it really came down to, and it's funny because we're seeing that with Delphi now. It comes down to numbers and the press. It doesn't come down to who's innocent, guilty, who's responsible, who's not responsible. It's all about making deals. And I don't think that's the right way to handle people because the easiest deals to make are usually not with the people that are first-time offenders. And those are the ones that actually get the worst time in jail. So it's a whole different game. Yeah. So I don't delve on it too much because it wasn't what I felt was right. And it could have been just the area that I grew up in, but I'm starting to see it's more like that all over the country. So I don't have any negative feelings towards that end, but morally, it just something wasn't right for me working in that office. And when you're asked to make decisions that impact people's lives forever, I feel that should be based on their moral compass, not one mistake.
Absolutely. I don't think I could handle, I couldn't handle anything where I felt like morals and ethics kind of went out the window and that people just became numbers instead of actually caring about what happened to them. And so I probably couldn't do that myself. It would bug me too much.
I could handle the responsibility.
Could you? Yeah. And you guys, Deb goes home tomorrow. Deb's in the house. Deb's last days in Florida again. And then Deb, don't forget to drop your link in the chat if you can. Oh, she probably can't actually. She's probably on her iPad there. Can't make a living off others' miseries. Well, Ray, how do you do it? Just curious. No, just kidding. Okay, so Lewis. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Kegan Kline. We know that he has a thing, his court date tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay, and so we know, let me just actually pull this up. Give me 1 second, Lewis. Okay, Okay, so Alexa's doing a book fair or something tonight for her kids. So I don't think she'll be joining us tonight. And sorry, I'm just going to try to save something here. Okay, come on.
While you're looking for that, what I want to say I found seemed really interesting from when this first came out is they keep pushing the narrative that he didn't make a plea agreement. And I think the fact that they keep saying that says more than it doesn't say. But
Yeah. Well,
because you don't hear that normally being said in cases, especially something like this. You don't hear everyone constantly repeating that statement. So the fact that they're repeating it here constantly makes me feel like they're mentally covering up for some other thing that they've worked out that they don't want known, or they want to make sure that it's known there was nothing done. So if something happens after everything's done here, that it's not based on a plea agreement or a deal that they made.
Okay.
I would love personally, if Kegan's lawyer says anything to the press tomorrow when they leave court, which I don't know if he will or not, but if he were, hopefully JLR, if he's standing out there, does not waste his opportunity by yelling Kegan Kline, whatever.
Oh my God, please.
Just want someone to ask that lawyer, can you confirm or deny that your client has or has not been in talks or made an agreement or arrangement involving another case, not the one he's here for today?
Yeah.
Because, none of us have to be privy to any information about what agreement he may be making in relation to another case.
Yeah.
All that we know is what's related to the CSAM case. And because it was a public defender, I'm not sure, would the same lawyer then be able to represent him if he were in negotiations for another case?
What do you, Lewis? Do you know?
I didn't hear the question. What was that?
With Kegan Kline's lawyer being a public defender, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
If he were in negotiations to come to an arrangement or an agreement in a case that we do not know anything about, say Delphi, but that he isn't currently charged in, would that same lawyer be able to negotiate that, or would he have to have a different lawyer because it's a different case?
It depends, because if he's not being charged, he's not been assigned a public defender yet. Right. So they're not going to have a public defender do any negotiations until they've actually brought charges up or brought up that matter and made a connection, which they've purposely made it known that they've not done that.
But we don't know if there's another case that he might have given information on in order to not get charged.
Well, they made that known that there was no plea agreement made, and I think they wanted that specifically out there for that reason. But it doesn't mean that they didn't say something to him like, we'll put a good word in for you on this if this other thing pans out. And that could be why they came out and said we didn't make a plea agreement, because they're almost feeling guilty that they made some sort of a promise that's not a plea agreement, so they have to make sure that it's known that they didn't do it to that level. But you see that all the time where, if you give us some information on this, we'll put a good word in for you with your judge. Now, if we rule out this whole possibly connected to other things, they already made it clear in the beginning that this has led to one of the largest CSAM rings in the state. And then we've seen so many arrests and prosecutions since then. We have to think there was at least something, whether he cooperated or not, that came from his case that affected those. Right. And then it makes you wonder, why did those come and go into play so much quicker than Kline? Why was Kline out here for so many years waiting for him to bring charges up, and what was going back and forth? And it almost makes me wonder if what finally happened here is he made some sort of arrangement with his lawyer to, I will plead guilty, that way you look on me in better light, because I'm not going to have the witnesses that were victims have to testify. And I think that's probably the largest thing that's making this turn into what it's turning into tomorrow, is a plea from him puts the witnesses that were victims in a better light by not having to go in front of a jury and a courtroom and be all over the media. So a judge will take that into consideration quite a bit more than if he gave information on something else.
Lewis, in your personal opinion still, do you believe that Kegan Kline is connected to Delphi in some way, shape, or form?
I'm 50-50 on that, but I think if he's connected at all, I think that he was misled into whatever connection he has also. I don't really think it was as direct of a connection as people have theorized.
Right.
And that brings me down to my one theory of the whole thing with looking for the gas station that day. I think that he was thinking he was meeting somebody there. I think maybe Rick Allen thought that he was meeting somebody else at the bridge, and neither one were there to meet who they thought they were going to meet, if Kline even showed up at the gas station. But, it's just one theory, but I think that they were catfished.
I believe that they were catfished. What do you think of the fact, though, Lewis, of Kegan Kline having on his Facebook February 13th, 2017, that he was in Vegas as working, and that he changed that?
Well, we saw so many different things back then that he changed on his Facebook here and there, and pictures that were swapped for other pictures. So the things he was searching for when he was in Vegas on the one phone that they had, everything makes you think that even if the least amount of culpability is he was speaking with her under one of his accounts, and then he finds out something happens to her, he was probably in full panic mode, whether he had anything to do with it or not. So at that point, somebody that's tech savvy to the extent that he was would go in there and think he could do that without leaving a trail. And, of course, we know that that's not true because they can see where pictures were changed and statements were changed. But I think that was more of a running scared, just because even if he recognized the name and having had a conversation, that would put him in panic mode.
Right. And then
what about the searching? Go ahead, Adam.
And then, why Google how long does DNA last on a body?
Exactly.
And Sandy Hook and John Bonet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, you could almost look at those two as just being a perverse interest or weird fantasy he has.
Right.
But I mean, immediately after finding out something like this happens, you listen to the audio. I can't even remember how many times that they mentioned in that interrogation, and then you Google how long does DNA last on a body.
Yeah.
I mean, and then then you hide your own phone, you delete Meet Me, which was interesting. You delete Instagram, and you delete Snapchat. I believe those were the three that he deleted, and then reinstalled. So I'm just he is definitely adjacent to Delphi if he's not involved directly. But I've been on the path that he was that he and Alan may have catfished each other, like you said, and ended up meeting unintentionally that way. But I'm not sold on the fact that he's not involved yet. I don't think he is directly involved in the planning or carrying out of the crime, but
I think he's involved with the lore part, that whether it was him, because at the end of the day, Lewis, I mean, the talking to Libby's phone was what they thought was two people that morning that were logging in, logging out. And they deemed it as two different people because of the way. Oh, thanks, JDubs. New but love your input. I'm West Coast. New but
Thank
love your
you,
input.
JDubs.
I'm West Coast as well. I'm Vancouver, Canada, JDubs. Yeah. So
I don't know if that's you in the picture, JDubs, but I love your blonde is gorgeous if it is.
Is that
well,
you
everything about you is gorgeous. Thank you.
Yeah, move over, Deb. Move over, Blondie. But thank you, JDubs. I'll leave that up there for a minute just to appreciate. Sorry, where were we at?
We were talking about the possible connection of them catfishing each other or
log in, log out,
indirectly involved, and the two people using the same account, but how you knew it was two different people that were logging in, logging out. So,
well, first of all, do you believe it was two different people, or do you believe it was just perhaps if it was Kegan Kline, let's just say, talking two different ways to two different people because he's so used to doing stuff like that, talking to multiple people. Do you think that it truly is two different people?
I think if he was doing that and logging out, logging back in to do that, that wouldn't be the case. If you logged out and logged back in to present as a different person, you'd be using a different account,
Exactly.
which we know he had.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that they made it clear that the one account was logging in and out and using different structure to sound like two different people, that they really do feel it is a separate entity pretending to be the same person, not one person pretending to be two.
Right.
And Snapchat at that time in 2017, if you were logged in on one account, you could only use that account on one device. Whereas now you can like go from device to device. So my understanding at the time was that if you're talking to someone on one phone, but then you want to use the same account on a different phone, the reason that they know that it was two people is because it was two different devices. He was logging out on one device and then logging in on another device, and it was simultaneous. And I'm assuming when they said it was from the same household, they know that it was from the same IP address or the same Wi-Fi or whatever. But and just probably the continuity of in and out. But you can sense then you can now log in on different devices at the same time. But in 2017, you had to log out on one device to log in on another.
And then that's another thing people talk about with Snapchat back then, not having the location. Meet Me did, and you couldn't opt out of it. That was just a given. It was like a friend finder thing on the app in the beginning with them, and it would actually show on a map where you were live, and you could drive and actually see within so many, not feet, but yards of where the other person was.
Yeah. And the Snapchat, the Snapchat location map thing where you can see your friends.
Yeah.
That was released in 2017, I believe, but not until June.
Yeah, that came out later, but
yeah.
On Meet Me, which it's odd that he had that and deleted it, that was an app that not only was it functional, but it was not something you had to opt in or opt out of. It was just there.
Right. And it's the application that he used that we probably know the least amount or the least about. Because we have snippets of things that he wrote to people on Kik. We know that he was talking to people on Instagram and Snapchat, but we don't really have any content confirmation from Meet Me other than he used it.
Yeah.
And we also know that Libby had a Meet Me account.
It's funny. There's several people in Delphi that at one point or another have been thought about as suspects that were actually Meet Me users. And I just always found that odd because it was not an app that people in their 30s and 40s would normally be on. So I thought that was a weird thing too. But if you take certain names and you Google them with Meet Me in the Google line, you'll be surprised at who pops up.
Is it an app that you have to give your real name for, or can you make up a name? Anthony
I don't know. I just know that back then in 15, 16, and 17, it was a startup that a younger couple were doing, and it was sold to be pre-installed software in phones for a while. So a lot of kids would get a phone, and that would be one of the suggested apps to download that was free. So I know it became a popular thing for kids to use that was a no-charge thing that once you got the phone, you didn't have to actually know what to go searching for. It was just there as a download. Wow. So before that, it was used as an app for people for your graduating classes. I forget the name that originally it had, but then it morphed into the Meet Me dating app type thing.
Proximity-based.
I just quickly to go back to JDubs for a sec, because and Deb just said that you can attach an app to your phone so that it can see what your child is doing. But honestly, I thought about this many times, JDubs myself. Now, I have a son, but he's 26 years old. But my twin sister has her 4 children, and two of them are older now, but it's one of those things just as a whole. It's when you especially are in true crime, you can understand a whole different reality of what's out there versus your everyday person that's not in true crime, that hears about things here and there. But most people don't really realize the compass of truly the evil that exists on the internet. And this is just it. It's so, especially females, right? Especially when they're coming into the age of teenagers. And I'm going to start saying it about like nowadays, it's more like 11, 12, 13, 14, that they're really, getting all these apps. The parents aren't thinking so much about it, or at least a lot don't. And then you have just thousands upon thousands of predators just out there waiting to lurk and try to find someone, because children or teenagers, when they're at that age, right, they're looking for acceptance. Any female loves to hear words of sweet nothings to their ear. They do. Simple as that. When we hear somebody saying sweet kindness things like you're beautiful, and talking in that young way, even though it's an adult at the other end, because they know how to play into that, it's really scary, because they do become susceptible. And how many times do we see on the internet now where it's like they meet up with somebody that they don't know, because again, they're at that age where they're trying to rebel against being told what to do and this and that. And the next thing you know, it's scary. It's to me, the internet is just like a freaking a Pandora's box type of thing for for predators out there. And it is like, honestly, especially with the girls more so than the boys, because girls, like I said, everyone's trying to be cool and like feel wanted and feel this. And if they're not getting it from home, they're going to go to the internet. And that's why a lot of these people take all these selfies. Anyone, I'll tell you this myself, this is my personal opinion. Anyone that has, if you go to their Facebook and all they have is selfies, it's because they are so insecure about themselves that they need to feed off of posting pictures to hear how beautiful that they are, and just selfie. My niece Paige, same idea. Just if she can take that, if you go to her Facebook, it's just selfie city, and my niece is very insecure, and she has a lot of other issues to go with that. But meaning, that always tells me about the person itself. But anyways, back to the whole app thing. What about the whole U-boat? Remember the yellow app? What about that they came searching for, Lewis and Adam?
I've not looked into it, but I know that Meet Me got purchased a while back, and they've changed how the platform structures. So I almost wonder if that was one of the companies that purchased them from the original startup. I think they started in 2012, and like I said, it was called, I think, Yearbook. And it was designed for people to keep in touch with each other from graduating classes. And then it morphed into what it is now.
That you talking about the yellow app?
No, that Meet Me app. I think that Yellow might have been one of the holding companies that purchased them, because I know that they were purchased at some point or another.
Yeah,
U-boat is kind of like a Snapchat, where it was mainly like for live videos and everything, but like the yellow app was what it was, like my niece who's 18, my middle niece, she told me that it's basically like kids use it like Tinder for teenagers or kids, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like location, it's got like location enabled, but yeah, that it's super pervy and weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
So the reason I brought up about purchasing is, I don't think a lot of people realize a lot of these apps are now monopolized. Like Meet Me was purchased, and then the company that bought Meet Me kept that name, and they bought Scout. And then, oh man, what was the other company? I think it was They merged and bought them. And then in 2017, they bought a German company that the Lover or something like that. That skips my mind. That's why I wonder if it had some connection to that other one, Yellow. And then a few years ago, they were purchased by another larger company. And I think that larger company owns almost every one of these ones that's out there for app base.
Right.
So it's kind of a scary thing when the holding company is so large that all these platforms now share their own information. And that's kind of a scary thing because you go on one of those and you
Yeah.
can now be seen on the other ones and you don't even realize that you're on there. Like POF is owned by that company that they purchased. So if you've got an account on one of those, it's going to be on all 4 or 5 of those platforms. And you don't even have a clue who's looking at it. So if you're on a platform with mainly teenagers and now you're being seen on a platform by mainly people in their 20s and 30s, there's some crossover there that's not safe.
Hmm.
Right.
Boston Christian.
Just like, just like TikTok used to be Musically.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Okay. So Boston Christian said at Deb, who was Lewis, computer guy? No. Well, Lewis is a computer guy too. Lewis is kind of like a jack of all trades guy. Has a lot of knowledge about different things. So
I just like to investigate stuff. So
Bye,
Yeah.
JDubs. Thank you for the super chat.
yeah, thank you so much, JDubs. You take care. Take care. Yeah, we'll see you around, okay? So I don't know why the music didn't go off for that. It was weird. Because hold on. Yeah, I mean Streamlabs seems to be doing its thing, so I don't know why it didn't go off when she did that donation, to be honest with you. Normally it does that. You know what? For the sake of it, let's just set it off. All right, test widget. Hold on. That was, they got all these other widget things now for Cloud Bot Redeem. My Lord. Let's see. Oh. Well, that's because it's not going off. Test widgets. Oh, it's not going off. That's the problem. I don't know why it's not going off. Maybe I'll have to reboot Streamlabs or something. Weird. Anyways, so I was wondering why, but it's actually I'm testing the widgets not going off. But anyway, I want to go back to this for a second to get back on this course before we go off course in a sense. So Ivy Rose had put this in the chat earlier in our one, and it says, so he has 13 level 5 felonies, 12 level 6 felonies. Level 5 is 1 to 6 years, and level 6 is 6 months to 2.5 years. Okay, on the different scenarios tomorrow, Lewis. What are you kind of expecting based on a couple of different scenarios, perhaps?
It's kind of hard to guess. If it winds up being like a really light sentence and they give him a lot of credit for time served, then I think that they're going to find out that he gave information towards a lot of other arrests, which we've seen, but we don't know if it was actually help from him or just investigative skills. But if he was involved in a lot of help with that stuff, I think you're going to be really shocked at what he gets. And if he didn't give any help or he was of no help anyway, then I think they're, even with cooperation and keeping the witnesses from having to testify, I think he's going to get a pretty harsh sentence. I think they need to make an example out of him with the name being put where it is in the media. They can't let him get off with something light unless he really earned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it came down to a jury, it would be different. But since a judge is involved here, that's why I think it's going to either be one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm. Adam, what do you think?
How long do I think he's going to get? Is that what you're saying?
Well, just based on, like, if you think so, for instance, if you had information to do with Delphi and that couple, whatever. So even though they would act like it's not sort of some sort of a plea agreement, but yet it was like, in a sense that he got lesser time. Do you think it's going to kind of be like really light? I mean, if there was something that he really offered up for Delphi, but if he didn't, let's just say he didn't, and he just opted to do this because, obviously that way he didn't have to go through it. And because of the victim thing, that perhaps instead of things running maybe concurrent or consecutive or I should say,
right.
Lewis, consecutive is when it runs back to back after each other, right? And
I'm sorry.
Consecutive is when it runs back to back off of each other.
Right, concurrent
at the same time. Consecutive is like you were drawing a line. Yeah.
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 Well, I'm gonna maintain that I don't think that Kegan Kline would ever do anything for anyone other than Kegan Kline. I don't think that he's doing this to spare any victim or any. I don't even think he's doing it to spare himself. Like the fact that he'd have to face his father or anyone else in court, that some people have speculated. The only reason Kegan Kline is going to accept responsibility for anything in his entire life is if he is getting something in return. He's a coward and he's weak, and he's not ever going to do something for the right reason. So there has to be a benefit to him in this. And it'll be really interesting to see how the judge rules, because, you know, I've heard so much speculation from time served all the way up to, 25 years. And, you know, I think it'd be a safe bet to say somewhere maybe in between the two. But I would say to me, I mean, there's a certain YouTuber that just got out of jail for a year that was only serving one level 5 felony. Kegan has how many? 13.
Level 13. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so that person just served an entire year in jail for having one. Kegan has 13. So I'm gonna say that my best guess would be that he's gonna get sentenced to 8 to 10 years.
And also, don't be surprised if he did cooperate in any way, that he gets a harsh sentence, but then they suspend it and they give him probation.
Right.
So, I mean, they could give him 10 to 12 and then give him time served and probation for the rest.
Right. Well, and that's something I was saying or last week was that, the sentence that we see handed down tomorrow might not be the ultimate end all be all, because what happened in a case that I was following pretty closely in Ohio was that, there were four people that were charged with unaliving, and 2 of them pled guilty. 2 of them went to trial. One of them that pled guilty did a full confession, and part of their plea was they got the DP taken off the table, but in return, that was only the case if they successfully agreed and completed testifying to the things that they had talked about in their confession in the 2 trials for the people that went to trial. And so, that DP still hung above him until he had completed the deal. So, if Kegan did turn over some information about Delphi, it might be contingent on him following through with testifying to what information he gave when the time comes for Richard Allen's trial. And that's speculative, but
Yeah, isn't it a day for a day? So if he's done 2.5 years, basically, isn't it a day for a day? So
Yes.
it'd be like
It depends on the level. Some are a day for a day, some are 3 to 1.
Right. What does she have here? 1 to 5 years and level 6. I thought she had 3 to 1 in there as well when Ivy did this. Maybe she didn't. She put it underneath or whatever. So yeah. So wait, do 3 days and get 1 off, or do 1 day and get
1 off for every 3 days served.
1 day, yeah, 1 off. So I personally, I'm gonna. Deb was saying. Oh, actually, let me before I hit Deb's comment. As for the news, of course, is gonna, of course, say that, ooh, maybe he will get off for time served. I mean, that's for us, that would be worst case scenario, best case scenario for him. But that's just the news reporting, that because obviously that's going to get them clicks, views, and ratings if they report it that way. So of course you're going to watch it. Now, is it true that it could possibly happen? Yeah. But does that mean that's even remotely going to happen? No. But at the end of the day, remember, they're all about clicks and views and want you to catch the title that's going to bring you in there. As for Deb says, or I still think Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking about that witness list and if he was kind of like scared about the witness list. I personally don't think that that had anything to do with it whatsoever myself, about seeing the witness list and his dad on it.
No,
I think
nothing.
as a whole, that, if he gets a lighter sentence because he's, not putting the victims, let alone his embarrassing acts, through it all, then okay, but not because he's scared of who would testify. It would have to be something that he's going to benefit from.
Right. And if we're speculating, I guess the other thing to consider is he's waited all this time and they've never offered him a deal that he was happy with. So at some point, his attorney might have said, okay, well, then maybe you really need to plead out so that way that the judge can take some things into account here. And if you do that as a good gesture, they might go easier on you than if you go in front of a jury.
Well,
It could just be he played the waiting game and waited too long and they never gave him what he wanted. So this is like his last Hail Mary for any kind of a break in charges.
yeah. Adam, do you remember with Kelly Brown that she had said something about Kegan that said, because I remember when she put something in chat and she said something about that Kegan thinks he's going to get out in about a year and a half, something like that.
He said he was going to get out in May.
Yeah.
Yeah. He kept saying, when I get out in May.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was to Kelly. I mean, I know 3 people that I know,
Kelly,
and then 2 other people that that have spoken to him. I can't remember who he said it to.
Kelly was the one that I would know because I don't talk to the other 2 people, so it would have to be Kelly. But I know it was Kelly. So for me, it was, I just remember that, and I remember thinking like, okay, so that's what he was thinking, like, oh, like he'll be out of here, according to his lawyer, blah blah blah. Now I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that one of the big reasons that he got his his rights taken away? It had nothing to do about any sort of texting or anything like that. I think it was because he was telling stuff privy, that he shouldn't be talking about. I think it was because he was talking about if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was because he was giving information that about, conversations between him and his lawyer and different things, to people and talking. And that's kind of why I believe that they took his phone away, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I know it's been so long.
And who knows the truth? I'm sure we were told one thing. He said one thing. I'm sure someone else said something else, and I'm sure the truth is somewhere else.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I believe about as many things that come out of Kegan Kline's mouth as I do, as I would take tax advice from my 18-month-old niece.
Right. So Deb thinks perhaps it might incriminate his father, but what do you guys think of that thing? I personally don't think so. I think that if they had something on his dad, then his dad would have been separately arrested for it, because they would have found it, I'm sure, myself. But
don't forget, Kegan Kline at the end of the day during that interrogation, he tried to throw Dirk under the bus as many times as he could, but Vito and Clinton, they didn't have to push very hard for him to turn on his dad. So people always act like he's so scared of his dad. He turned on his dad before he even asked for a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean,
he was like, yeah, I guess my dad was the only other one that could have. Was the only other one that would have access to it. Yeah, guess he was.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his, I think probably in his eyes, his father is his, well, I'll say kind of like, that father and dad bond, no matter what his dad kind of is like or whatever. I don't know. I still think he feels like this loyalty to his father. I don't know that he's scared of his dad. Maybe. I don't know. Because his dad, people had spoke about his dad and how Kegan, it's funny because Kegan didn't speak so highly of his dad, but the people like the Cranning guy like the brother, half brother and that, and the sister, they were saying basically how well he was treated by the dad,
right.
By Tony.
And granted, it was a lot of years ago, but the thing I always think, Kegan didn't say anything bad about Tony, but then again, as soon as Tony stopped putting money on his books, Kegan ran right out there and was like, "My dad doesn't put any money on my books." Kegan throws Kegan's not trying to protect anyone. Kegan throws people under the bus the second he can to save Kegan. He is a coward and a weasel and a snake. I mean, it's true. I mean, he is. He would eat his own tail to get out of a trap, and I don't think he's gonna take any heat to save his dad at all.
Mhm.
Like, he would turn on his dad in a heartbeat. I think he's probably scared to death about what happens when he gets out, because because he is a coward. So he also doesn't know what he's going to do if he does get out, because he might need his dad and he might rely on his dad. So he's not going to he's not going to say anything bad about him unless it benefits him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead, Lewis. Go ahead. Thoughts?
I read it differently with him. I think that it's more of a, well, sort of like we said at the end, I think it's more of a, that's the only stable thing he's got in his unstable life is his dad. And putting him in a position to hurt that relationship, even if it's not a great relationship, leaves him in a position, I think, of feeling helpless. Because I think the only thing that gives him any feeling of help is his father. I don't think there's any other structure in his life ever.
No, I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I just don't think
the other things you were saying didn't seem like they went that way, but then you finished it up with something that coincided with what I thought. That's the way I read everything I've seen where he's talked about him. It's like he's given just a little bit to try to throw shade off of himself, but he's never really said anything solid to go against his dad.
No, I don't think he's ever really said a lot about anyone to go against anything.
Yeah.
But I just think that at the end of the day, Kegan is going to come first in his mind. And I mean, I'm going off of a lot of conversations also that I've read and saw privately that all coincide with this mentality and this way of thinking. Even now, I mean, one of his biggest concerns is that if he gets out, he doesn't know how he's going to deal with the fact that he's going to be an RSO for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Not that he did these things, not that he literally looked for girls under the age of 14 years old and under the age of 12 years old, but that he might have to live in his car and he might be homeless, and that he's going to have a check mark on his name for the rest of his life. It's all about him. It's not about anyone else.
I think there's partial stuff about his dad, because that's the person that butters his bread, basically, that feeds him in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I want to go back, and this isn't to for Kelly Aaron. I think she's underneath, and this is just, sorry, Kelly, if you're watching this right now, I think she's underneath the false impression that Kegan, that she feels like that Kegan actually had a sincere bond with her until it was kind of broken, and then Wilter kind of went it. But I feel like, because we read the letter was shared back a long time ago, and Alexa did a handwriting analysis on it, but that's one that Kegan shared, and through that whole entire letter, so Kelly feels like that they probably had this more sincere friendship, in a sense that there was part of it that was sincere, and that she said she had gotten scared when Kegan says, like, my dad doesn't want you to talk to me anymore, and she kept emphasizing that. She's always emphasized that. But my thing is this: Kegan is so used to manipulating people that, like I said, as much as you think they're being sincere, they're just manipulating you. That's what he's used to doing. That's how he gets things from people. That's his lifestyle. That's what he does. I don't think Kegan was sincere at all in his intentions with Kelly Aaron, besides to use her for his own purposes to manipulate. Now, again, no offense to Kelly Aaron on that one, because I get it. If you in your heart, you feel like this person's actually trusting you, and that you're bonding, but really this person is just
and
a
there may have been
manipulator.
an ounce of
There,
of genuine
maybe, yeah,
connection in
a little
some
bit.
shared experiences.
But bottom line is that he wanted something out of it. Like there was,
Absolutely.
he's used to manipulating.
If
Anyway.
you read the structure of what he writes in those letters, he was looking to get that response that he normally gets from being active and online, and he wasn't getting that response immediately. So his letters were all over the board, but it was 100% classic sign of grooming. He was just casting out to try to get information so that he could return the energy of what he was getting, but he wasn't getting that right away because it's in letters. So it looked to me like somebody that would normally be in a live chat or in a message trying to feed off the other person's responses to groom them and not being able to do that. So I think it looks more sincere than it is, and maybe that's what she felt with, but it was casting multiple directions at once to try to get the right response. And that showed what he probably did with everyone else online.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Literally, even tonight, he's messaging with someone tonight, like literally 12 hours before his plea hearing.
Yeah.
I would have thought he would have other things on his mind tonight, but not as of an hour ago.
With a female, as in Kelly?
Nope.
Oh, different person.
Yep.
Last time I asked her, I said, "Are you still talking to him?" And she said no, because he was talking to her for a little bit, but then
He blocked her because of Holly.
Yeah, that you're talking about from before, though, right?
From the whole facility. So I don't know the up to date things with that. I have not spoke to her, but I know two other people that correspond with him. Like I said, one of them even tonight.
Oh, okay. I think I know who you're referring to. So yeah. And what's the point of what they're doing?
Well, I know more the point of the person I spoke with tonight, and it's mainly to, at this point, a lot of it is just to see his response to certain things that, are asked, but
Yeah. Like for instance, like I said, I understood what, let me put it this way. If somebody's going in with a mission to try to achieve a goal, and I think that's what you're speaking of here. That
yes, and that mission I think has changed from when they started talking to him to now. But that's because the scope of it has changed as well. Some of that was even before Richard Allen was arrested. So. And really, honestly, some of it now is, a lot of it is at my directing, because I'm just curious.
I know.
A lot of it's even like what I'm like, here, ask this.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. So, is there anything? Let me just ask you, Adam, quickly. Is there anything at all that stands out that you can say to us that, or has there been nothing whatsoever about the case?
It's still playing games. It's still playing games. It's all like, a lot of horrible stuff about Murder Sheet, a lot of incredible things about Holly. One of the things he loves to do is be like, I'm in love and have a committed girlfriend, but then he immediately messages again.
Right. Yeah. Carol, absolutely. Pigs would have to fly down out of the sky. The earth, I could, once I'm able to walk on water properly, that might happen. Up until then, not a hope in HE double hockey sticks. Absolutely. That person is nothing but a con, a liar, and everything else. So no, that's to answer your question. Lewis, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So tomorrow, for instance, so let's say he pleads guilty, but they won't actually do his sentencing tomorrow, correct? They would make that for a different date, would they not? Or what? Or how does that work?
I think that they're going to sentence him tomorrow.
Okay, so you do think that they will sentence him tomorrow?
Oh yeah.
I was just kind of thinking about the Murdoch case, where they kind of like, well, like adjourned and then came back to the next day or whatever. So I was just kind of thinking, is it one of those things where, yeah, he pleads guilty and then they make another date? Or, oh, okay, I guess, or, I was thinking they did it maybe that way too. Guilty, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be immediate. I think that everything's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Well,
You never know.
tomorrow.
Everything's been so weird with all the stuff going on in that part of Indiana. So you never know what anyone's going to do.
So you can assume that Murder Sheets is going to be there. Rick Snay's going to be there. That new media, what's his name? Oh, Frank. Is going to be there. Who just might try to be there.
I know one person that will be there if they can find $90 to get there.
Who's that?
Oh, was my mic on? Sorry.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
No, yeah, right. Yeah, give me 90 bucks. Probably Michael. Anyways, yeah, right. Give me 90 bucks and I'll make it there. But anyways, let's see here. Who else? Got that.
I wonder if Greeno's going to go out there.
Oh, probably. Greeno has no self-respect at all. That guy has no moral compass, no boundaries whatsoever. Greeno is Greeno. Greeno will always do Greeno. He doesn't really give a cup of anything about what the world thinks. Greeno just does. When somebody just literally doesn't care at, how he's looked at by anybody, he just still will do what Greeno does. That's Greeno. That's how I see Greeno. Doesn't give a shit. So probably it won't shock me if he's there. And what else was I thinking about? Lewis. I think Lewis is going to go there, he said. I think Lewis. Didn't you see that, Lewis? You're going to cancel your appointment. You're going to freaking hit that gas pedal and you're vroom. I was thinking about somebody else. Okay, so Julie will be there for sure.
No, not that far, but I just can't get it to work.
Julie's not going to be there for that one?
No, because it's Peru. It's not Carroll County. Remember, so it's, it's a good 45 minutes away from.
Deb, get your ass back early and come on, chop now.
Right.
Anybody else? Steffa?
Where's Debbie Lowe when we need her?
Right. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just see what people are saying. Do we know anyone that will be going to KK hearing? Again, besides the people that I kind of read off. Adam, do you know anyone? Because you're the one with the source for that. If anybody, like, who just said she might go, but she's not sure.
I mean, I know two people I know one person that said they're going to go, but not someone that I would ask for anything from. And I know two people that might go.
This drives me crazy. I would be there in a New York second.
Same.
I would be there in a New York second if I lived in Indiana.
Right. Doug Carter asked me if he wanted me to go for him, but I was like,
he asked you to fly in the helicopter with him?
Yeah.
Did you turn him down?
But I was like, yeah, I was like, no, I'm busy. I was like, I've got crime scene in the courtroom on Friday, and I want to look fresh for that.
Oh, that's true. And Alexa has to have her lipstick ready. That's true. Red lipstick. I honestly think that if they had anything on Tony Kline at all, right, absolutely. I agree with you, true crime, with a microwave and a baby doll.
100%.
Yeah.
Anything they could prove, at least.
Yeah. He's all over the place since getting out of jail. Oh, yeah. Honestly, I literally don't pay attention. I don't care enough to pay attention to that stuff. I just don't.
I didn't read. I think I missed that one.
Hey, or he just said.
I must have missed that comment.
Yeah, he's all over that. Yeah.
No, he doesn't have a car.
No, but I'm sure he'll offer not to pay gas money and take a ride somewhere for sure. I mean, it's so funny to me just watching a bunch of banshees all flock together that they don't like each other. Then it's absurd. But you know what? people do the damnedest things, you know. I could care less. Let you know, let them morph into their thing, because y'all know it's going to break down at some point, because one was going to piss each other off, and you know, it's all this creator backstabbing and stuff is just ridiculous, and it will happen eventually, right? That's why you try to surround yourself with good people, right, Deb? You know it. Try to surround yourself with good people that just literally want to, you know, be kind, not try to cause drama, and you're just there to support each other and help each other along the way. Why it has to be different than that still always is, you know, whatever to me. Anyways, he said he'll be there. Heard it before I switched channels. Yeah. Like I said, I'd have to pay attention, and I don't, because I actually don't care. Noah Amos, KK's jailmate. He goes by DeBird. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's David that called in. Yeah. I haven't ever gone to one before. I'd go. Well, get your butt over there and go see what it's like. Forever Young. Who just said she would? No, she didn't say she would go, Deb. What she said was she'll set her alarm and see if she makes it or not.
You know,
That's
and
all.
I've always heard your first time, you know, it's not as painful as you think it's going to be, and it'll be over way quicker than you think.
Right. Yeah. Deb's in Florida. She would go. Well, Deb, get your butt out of Florida and get going. See, pedal to the metal, right? I would be there if I didn't have to work. It's a 5-hour job, but that is nothing for this hearing. It's a 5-hour job or a 5-hour drive. I think she meant to say drive. Yeah.
Probably drive.
Yeah. I don't like to go to Delphi. Why would I like to go to Peru? I don't know. All I know is that if I lived in Indiana, my butt would be there.
We know one person that should be there.
Hey?
I said we do know someone that lives in Peru that should be there. I don't think they're planning on going.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow, true crime. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I would go through Delphi, going to the lake house, and I couldn't get there fast enough, and my vehicle didn't break down, like a flat tire or something, going through there. Yeah, I know. Okay, let me ask you, Lewis. Lewis, are you still there, or do you need to go lock up?
No, I'm here.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's going to be so busy tomorrow? Like, do you think that there's going to be quite a few people? You think, or no?
I think it's going to be a larger crowd than they expect, but I don't think it's going to be a lot of people there just for the trial. I think it's going to be more people that are there just for the publicity and the videos and screenshots.
Yeah. Hold on, take over
I wonder
chat
if
for a second.
I'll be there.
I don't think it's going to be crowded for the right reasons, if that makes sense.
Hey, I told you to guys take over while I was gone for a sec.
I thought I lost you guys. I was checking my phone to make sure the connection was still on. Both of you guys disappeared, and then nothing was moving. I thought chat stopped.
Well, it's just
I poured a headache powder in my mouth right when she said that.
Okay. Did everyone remember? Did you guys remember to hit the like button? And again, if you guys have any money to spend on us, we would like some coffee. It's almost at the end of the month here, and honestly, we haven't done very well this month.
That is an interesting name, True Crime with Microwave and Baby Doll.
I know.
The answer to your question is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
What you need is True Crime with an air fryer.
All right. I made you haven't changed your name to Air Fryer. Come on. True crime with a microwave and a baby doll.
What do you think? Do you think we're gonna get to see? Okay, so do you think we're gonna get to see Kegan Kline literally get out of the prison van or out of the jail van and go into the courtroom? I mean, have any of us ever seen him walk?
Well, you know what's going to happen? JLR is going to be there. I'm sure of it. We know JLR is going to be there. We know he's going to be saying something.
I
You
want
guys are all
Barbara
probably
McDonald to be there and yell, Kegan Kline.
Yeah, I know. You
I bet
know what
Barbara
to say.
McDonald will be there tomorrow.
Yeah. I
But
feel like
I'm like, I mean, it'll be interesting. Just, I mean, literally the most, the most we've seen Kegan Kline, even though we've been talking about him for over a year. Well, how many years now? It'll be weird to see him moving or video of him going into that courtroom, considering really the most we've seen is him sitting at that phone talking to Barbara McDonald.
Yeah, you don't really have much video capture of him.
No.
Yeah.
And a little bit from before, like when he was shaking that bag of ganja or whatever, but
Yeah, the ganja on his video on his thing there. Yeah.
And of course the mirror selfies.
JLR, if you're there, can I just get assurance that I can live stream to your channel?
You need to hack his feed.
Yeah.
What if Kegan Kline's wearing that same yellow, like the Richard Allen yellow?
Yeah. Adam said he'll buy you a new press hat, JLR, if you're.
But after the Kegan Kline trial, it'll say pressed.
Yeah. He so reminds me of Anthony Greeno, but I like JLR, I think, a lot more.
I mean,
he does ridiculous.
Do you think we'll get to see Tony? Do you think we'll get to see Tony hobble in?
Oh, right. I don't know.
We also don't know what he's going to plead. Has anyone thought about that?
Yeah, no. I mean, I've heard specifically 100% that he's changing his plea to guilty.
Yeah.
From a credible source.
It wouldn't shock us, of course, because of how Kegan Kline has been doing it. But yeah, just a quick question. Kelly said, "Don't mean to change the subject, but you are." Right. But did you see BK's sister lost their jobs because of being BK brother? Oh, really? Yeah. Well, let me put it that way. That would be a lawsuit waiting to happen if that's what the case. But we all know that they think of other reasons to do things and bullshit. That's just the way they play it. They're not going to sit there and come right out and say that she was fired because of that. They're would say of a different reason. Should that be true? I don't know nothing about it myself. Anyways, yeah. So, okay. There you go. We changed the subject and now we're back to Delphi. I've been listening to the California Boys. This case is so dear to my heart. Which one? The Pat Shelley. I'm not sure what sport is meaning.
Kegan did say today that that Holly will not be in court tomorrow. If anyone that was wondering.
Okay, why was she banned from it?
No, but I mean, well, I don't know, but he was asked, and he said that no, she will not be in court.
Yeah, I really can't see her. That's I think of. I kind of think of her like a little Chihuahua puppy. Comes off sounding tough and whatever on screen, and in reality, I just see someone whose life is just in crumbling, and someone that doesn't have their life in order, and I don't know, whatever her reasons, who knows, but I just see her like a little Chihuahua dog, to be honest.
Maybe she's his new Tony.
That's somebody that figured out that she had friends. Like, I think that's what she's even said actually on that phone call with that, frickin' DeBird guy, was that she knew someone that, that was friends with Kegan Kline in the same circle. And so she suckered her way, like, you know what I mean? She lured her way in that way. And then basically, of course, Kegan Kline being, the most amazing, bright person in the world, probably fell for her, stop going, oh, well, because she knows this person. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kind of push Kelly Aaron to the side there. And then she come in with all her lies. And like that chick is nothing but a false, fake, pretender liar that
what
literally.
happened to, remember her like daughter was like a victim of
Oh,
Kegan's
wasn't
Dad.
her daughter a
I thought
victim of Kegan Kline?
when they were
Oh,
broken
my.
up. No,
Yeah.
but no,
And
they are in love. They are in love, and even though she doesn't put money on his books, because I don't think she has any, um, you know, he is committed to her 100%, or at least enough, to, well, never mind.
Yeah. I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what her other
if
names
I were
are.
Holly, I don't know if I would trust him completely.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I said, we're talking about, how she was like, she's like this shark and blah blah blah. No, what she is truly a minnow. So if you're watching right now, Holly, should you be so inclined to keep watching this channel? But Rick Snake called her out, type of idea, called her out, said she couldn't provide no information to show why, because she is full of it.
Right.
And
And
like
you
I said,
can't when you fall in love with a Casanova, you can't hate the player, you gotta hate the game. Because
yeah,
Kegan Kline's dog's gonna be a dog.
yeah. And a,
So,
and a real swan will be a real swan,
right.
and a duck thinks that they're a swan and she's a duck.
So Lacey, are we not cutting it for you tonight?
I
Lacey
was
said,
gonna
"I miss
say,
Stella."
yeah. Um, the thing
Lewis,
is,
could
I
you
think
put
this,
red lipstick on?
yeah,
Did you put some red lipstick on so that we feel like we have Alexa here?
yeah, because the thing is that you and Alexa are like family to us. So, again, we haven't been covering Delphi so much. Of course, Lewis was on the channel a lot when we were covering the Delphi case. And so he hasn't been on very much, but then of course he was having his eye issues going on as well. Besides, his life was busy by the same token. But it gets to the point where people are going, "Where's Lewis? Where's Alexa?" Because they're thinking like that you guys are part of the channel, and you guys are. But me and Adam are the actual true runners of the channel. But Alexa and Lewis are always gracious and kind enough to join us, because they are like our secondary family that always, is joining us, for their, just for their company and for their, information and input of what they have to say. So Lacey, I'm so sorry if Alexa, she's, at a book fair. She was at a book fair with her daughters, and yeah, she's saving herself for Friday for Crime Scene to Courtroom, for that show for when we do Nicola Bully. And yeah, I think she's getting ready right now. Actually, Adam, shouldn't you be getting ready? You got a day and a half time here. Yeah. So, anyways,
I do want to say really quickly, GP is in the chat right now. And Friday is also the anniversary of Nicole Bowen. And we don't want to overlook that at all. I know we'll have a stream Friday evening.
yes.
But yeah, everyone
In
keep in
honor
mind
of Nicole.
that that it is Nicole Bowen's anniversary of being unalived by Garrett Kurtz and Ashley Garth, and others.
True. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. Thank you for reminding me of that, because I get so caught up in doing stuff, and it's like how I remember, and then all of a sudden, like right now, unless you reminded me GP, because I know that that's her initials on here now and on there. So which is Ginger. And that's Nicole's aunt. And so yeah, so on Friday night again, so that live on Friday will be about Nicole Bowen, and I'm sure Ray Hanish's name, of course, will be brought up as well into that one. And but Friday during the day will be on Crime Scene to Courtrooms channel, and that will be 9:00 airing PM the UK time, which is 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, your guys' time. So yeah, so Friday will be a busy night for sure. And today's the 29th, so yeah, we're almost there. And then and Elijah, he's going to plead guilty tomorrow. Yeah, he should. By all intents purposes, he should. I don't think he's not gonna. not do it. I think he will, but always in the back of your head with Kegan, like I said, like why tell the whole red Jeep story and stuff like that? Do you know how many suckers to me bought that story? Like that was the most ridiculous thing I personally ever heard.
He was trying to put down enough information that he thought he could get them to pay him for the rest of the story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he knew even if he was BSing, then it didn't matter or mean anything. He said it, but that doesn't mean it was true. Just like everything else with him.
What a messed up world. I know. Dad, fix it. Yeah. Oh. Do you see this? How about let's put it back in order. If we could just move up that comment above, I miss Alexa. Right. Yeah. Let's see here. Just trying to see what people are saying. The trial of the guy. Okay, that's a whole different story. Yes, ma'am. I think that's Deb answering us. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I want to go back over now to, I think we've talked about this one enough, I think a little bit. Lewis, you have to go lock up, don't you?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. I love that guy who yells at them as they get out of the paddy wagon. Wait, what are we talking about? What are we talking about there? You're talking about JLR. That's what he's talking about. JLR.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, yeah. JLR. So yeah, that's absolutely JLR. JLR, it makes a habit. He loves it. Don't get me wrong. See, like the thing, like I said, the difference between someone like, although they have unsavory past, him and both Anthony Greeno and a lot of other YouTubers, to be honest, but although they have some unsavory past, JLR is truly JLR is what I call doing almost it the right way, in a sense, meaning he knows the tools to lure people in to watch him. He knows how to play the game. He was in jail for a reason, people, and it's for being a con and a manipulator, okay? But the thing out of JLR is that you get entertainment value to go with it. He's literally getting himself off of the butt and he's going down to these places. Granted, it's for self, like whatever. You know how people just have maybe a fascination to, I don't know, play games with people's minds and heads and stuff like that. JLR seems to like to walk the path of, like play with people, like I said, pretending he's a Muslim in front of Hillary Clinton and stuff like that. At least out of JLR, you get a lot of comedy to go with it. You get cheesy thumbnails. You get him going to the Murdoch auction, and you're literally getting something more out of it. And so I call it there. So it's kind of like somebody you have the other person that's too busy putting other people down, in a sense, doing this whole self-pity thing, and he still continues to go along his, like what I want to call it, slimy ways, whereas JLR is, to me, giving you this funner person to watch, someone that's literally, using the tools properly. And like stuff that, how it's like, like, so secretly, I think we like the fact that he's yelling, to Richard Allen and to Murdoch and stuff like that, because what normal reporter would ever do that? Someone like, meaning an actual reporter, not someone that's, got their media tags and, has media credentials, but they're not really a reporter, besides them being self-proclaimed, right? JLR knows how to. He literally knows how to play people like a fiddle. And
he's also doing about what half the people watching want to do themselves.
Yeah, well, true that. Again, the thing, because I know that, about his past, right? You know what I mean? Because I know that he's obviously was in prison and that for fraud, and he does things to, like I said, try to convince. I mean, he did convince Hillary Clinton that he was this Muslim, and he pretended he was Jewish, and he got away with it all. And it's like he's like having his last laugh in the sense that people, and he's just playing them for fools because he knows how to work it. And really, the benefit is to himself, and he's trying, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say he's totally disingenuous about what he's doing,
but he was with Hillary Clinton, and then he turned around and he was in a whole bunch of the background of Donald Trump speeches too.
I know, right? Like,
he knows branding. That's the thing with JLR. He knows what he's doing. Branding. He knows branding, and that's yes. I think he legitimately probably cares. But but I think he knows that if he's yelling at Richard Allen, he knows that every news crew that's filming Richard Allen getting out of that van going into the courtroom or courthouse, his voice is going to be in every single news clip that recorded that. And he knows that if he's standing there yelling at Buster Murdoch when Alec Murdoch's getting in the police thing, he knows he's going to be in every single news clip. It's all about branding for him, and it's worked because he's already been on court TV.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, he totally knows how to play it. He's good at what he does.
It's branding.
The other one doesn't know how to use the tools that he has, right? Because Anthony Greeno could honestly have been successful in how he does YouTube's, his voice and everything, right? He literally could have had an actual promising career on YouTube, really, with those tools that he has. It's just that he's not using them to the best of his abilities. He's using them, in ways that gets him in trouble instead of stuff that is making his life easier. He's making his life always harder. And so that's the difference, like when someone has a gifted talent and they don't embrace it in the right way and they use it, and they're always getting themselves in trouble because of things that they're doing and, breaking laws and doing this and stuff like that. Again, you either learn from your mistakes and move on. And so hopefully JLR's learned from his mistakes, and because he has a cat. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that house that he lives in is his mom's house, his parents' house. I believe I heard him say that. And I don't even know if that's his cat. And let's just say it is his cat. The way he was talking to the cats on the road, I believe that JLR does have a heart, meaning that he does care about things. But he just likes to get himself into murky waters around things. But I do believe that he does have a heart, because when those kitties were on the road, when he was at the Stephen Smith site on the road there, he kept going like, come on, kitties. Like, sure, it could be an act, but because he has a cat too, that says, that, he likes animals. I'm sure he's got that heart in there somewhere, but he's just muddled it up with, breaking laws and stuff along the way to, but, I mean, he knows a lot. He spent a lot of time in jail. And so that's when he was filing all those lawsuits, and that's when you start getting to know the law and different things, because you're playing with it because you have nothing better to do. And it's like he gets a kick out of it, right? I mean, that must have been so funny when Hillary Clinton when she realized that he wasn't Muslim. Talking about like those articles I was listening to, that those articles came down so fast, So something like that to me is like, hey, if somebody can get away with doing that, then whatever. Now I think Lewis is probably locking up. Are you right, Lewis? Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to.
Yeah, and as far as the other person that you, I've never ever once watched a video of that person's, so I don't know if there's talent there or not. To be honest, just honestly don't know.
Yeah. What are you talking about, Adam?
Oh no, we were talking about potential and and integrity and getting you like muddied waters and everything, and you said two different people, JLR and someone else, and I was like, I've never actually watched content of the other person, so I don't honestly know, but I've heard that there's talent there. I just don't know. Gotcha.
I remember The Sopranos, Freckle Joy. Carol sounds like my life coach. Okay. So, I mean, just because we're here, what time is it? We'll wait for Lewis and we'll go on just a little bit longer because we have to be up early, I guess, tomorrow. We're just deciding if it was 9 or 9:30, what time we were going to go on because, you know, 9's a good. What time do you guys think? Do you guys? Well, let's ask you. I mean, you guys are going to flip flop to whoever has information tomorrow. I know that, but the loyal people will stay here, right? So should we start at 9 Eastern Standard Time or 9:30 tomorrow? Like you guys, it's up to you. Put 1 for 9 o'clock and 2 for 9:30, which is Eastern Standard Time. Shoot, that's 6:30 my time. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And
Yeah, and we, you know, like I said, 'cause the only reason that I mean, I'm good with whatever. I just don't know how quickly information is going to come out, and I don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it wasn't so much about that as much as,
yeah,
you know, you're kind of just talking with people before it actually starts in a sense and just going over stuff. That was really it. So,
no, I wish, did Lewis say this? You know, I'd be interested to see, you know, how likely do you think it is that, you know, the judge will hand down a sentence for Kegan Kline tomorrow, or will they schedule another date to do the sentencing?
So Adam obviously wasn't listening to the live a little bit earlier when I distinctly
Probably
asked
not.
that question. No. So I asked Lewis the same thing. Again, this is because Adam loves listening to me.
I was already thinking of the next thing I was going to talk about or ask about.
Yeah, Adam, because I do the same thing to you all the time too. So it's a fair game, right? So Lewis believes that tomorrow there will be a sentence will be handed down. Because I was saying the same thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, because I know the judge can do either, but I just didn't know what's more likely in Indiana or not. Because
they've already worked out
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The only thing that I could think, and I'm sure they'll have the opportunity to have been there tomorrow, but the only thing I can think that might delay the sentencing is if the judge wants to give any victims the chance to either issue a written victim impact statement or appear in court and actually, you know, give their victim impact statement. And with part of his changing his plea, I wonder if, when given the opportunity to say anything, if Kegan Kline will speak in court. Well, you know, other than just changing his plea.
So Lewis, my partner in crime here was asked the same question that I had asked you earlier.
I heard while I was driving. I just couldn't respond.
Now,
well, I appreciate that for not, you know, safety first.
Just quickly before you answer, Lewis. So Ginger, which is Nicole Bowen's aunt, obviously spent time going to the trials for Nicole, and so, you know, Garrett Kurtz would have come in to give a plea. Was he sentenced that day, Ginger? Or did he just do a plea and then they sentenced Garrett Kurtz? And
they did it separate.
With Ashley Garth, did they do that separately on separate days?
Yeah,
so go ahead, Lewis.
Well, like I said, I think everything's going to go down tomorrow. I think Adam has a good point there, but that can go either way. I think that you might want to have some victim statements made in court, but I have a feeling that the whole idea was to have to prevent victims from having to come public and speak.
Correct.
So you might have some other people that want to make some statements. I think that they might ask Kline to make a statement, and that's something he might do before he puts his plea back into the courts.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's definitely something they'll give him the opportunity to do at sentencing.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if it'll happen tomorrow or not, but.
Right. I think with the way things have been delayed and everything's been put off and put off and put off, and with the different statements that they've made, about how this does not include a plea deal, and they want that known. I think everything is already planned out in advance and everything's ready to go, and they want to get it over and done with because of all the delays we've had up to this point. But you're flipping a coin and go either way.
Right. And remember, they have those trial dates still on the calendar. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they can always use one of those trial dates for
Right.
the sentencing if the judge wants to push it out.
Yeah.
Well, the same
Um,
thing can go with tomorrow with the plea. I mean, with the way he pleads, if things don't go the way he wants, they still have the ability to change. I mean, that's not
Mhm.
something that's set in stone. And we know that he likes wasting the court's time. So,
Yeah.
who knows what's going through his head? He's not a stable person.
Yeah. My vote's gonna go on no sentencing tomorrow, but I'll be interested to see.
Yeah, I'm curious, but I think that with all the other things that this might be more of a let's get it done while we can type thing. And I really think they've had plenty of time to be prepared for what they're going to do. But, it's, like I said, it's a flip of a coin. You can go either way.
Right.
Ask chat, and chat, if you don't mind, again, if you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button to support this channel. That would be great. Let's ask chat though. 1, if you think that the sentencing will happen tomorrow. 2, if you don't think that the sentencing will happen tomorrow for Kegan Kline. And give me 1 second.
Oh, she left again.
Did she disappear? Yeah,
Yeah,
she did.
he said just give her a second.
Yeah, just give me a second.
I think they ran her off. Oh, no.
So, Lewis, were you listening? Did she say 1 if you think they will sentence, or 2 if they will sentence?
1 if it will just be guilty plea, and 2 if they will sentence.
Thank you, but I was talking to Lewis.
Okay.
Ginger, thank you. Ginger, that's exactly how they did Garrett. So they did Garrett's sentencing on the same day as he pleaded, or a different day?
No, she's going to say a different day.
I thought it was a different day. I know they did Ashley's on a different day.
Yeah.
That's why I asked Ginger. And I believe, so up above Ginger had said, no, it will just be the plea and then on a different day. And that's why I was asking.
Well, that's all that's scheduled, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you just say that again? Yeah, 2 separate dates is what she feels as well.
Okay. That's what I think.
Again, I agree with Lewis on the fact that that there's probably going to be no victim statements going on with Kegan Kline one. That with Garrett Kurtz, that there probably, I think there was.
Yeah.
So that could make the difference.
Right. And I don't see a victim. I don't see a victim, appearing in court. But I mean, they could always submit a written statement to be read by an attorney. Which that happens a lot of times, especially when minors are involved. Either the family member, like a parental figure of the minor, or the minor themselves. Because that way, they don't have to appear themselves, but they can have their words expressed in court. So, I mean, that was one of the reasons I think they might give the opportunity to push it out a little bit, to give them all time for that. But you never know. And anyone that wants to speak on Kegan's behalf as well. Which, we'll see how long that line is. I'm sure Rolex.
I'll be interested to see what they do.
Oops, I'm muted. I was sitting there talking and I was muted.
Uh-oh.
I know, I forgot I was muted until I
You've got
realized
a bad habit of doing that.
Yeah.
She does it to me all the time when she sends me voice messages.
Same thing with me, yeah.
I'm like, Sonny, muted.
I know. It's
a 30-second message and it's blank.
When I'm making videos, I have to use my one microphone to mute so that way if there's outside noise, it doesn't pick it up. Well, the one time what it picks up is what's frustrating is when somebody sends me a message and I haven't silenced them. But those stupid notifications, Lewis, I don't know how to turn those stupid notifications off that keep coming out going ding, 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 ding. And you're like, oh, for Pete's sakes. And it's frustrating, especially when you're in the middle of recording and then someone's like, when someone like types, like they don't complete one sentence and they just keep typing and then hitting enter, typing, hitting enter, enter, and all you're hearing is ding 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 ding. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, I'm trying to record here. Obviously, they don't know that, but so it's like, so then I sit there and go, okay, let me just pause. But anyways, so I use that one to always hit off so that doesn't record the outside noises. That's why. And so then I forget. So as I'm sending a message, I look down and I'm like, oh, for Pete's sakes, that freaking message was a waste of time because it freaking didn't have it on. So it's because of flipping back and forth between the two. Sometimes I forget that I've turned it off and then I look at it because it's, like it flashes, but the flash, it's not like it flashes fast. It's kind of like flash, 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 flash. So if I look at it quickly, I'm thinking, oh, well, it's on. So anyways, let me just quickly read this. It says Wayne County, police in Wayne County. Okay, let me just show you the dude first. Okay. So that's Dakota Moster or Moster, however you say it.
Okay.
So police say more victims possible after CP arrest in Wayne County. So police in Wayne County are urging parents to come forward in the investigation of a man accused of sending and possessing, photos of young people. So police arrested 27-year-old Dakota Moster, or Moster, however you say it, last week in possession of CP and disseminating CP after a person contacted investigators about communicating with a male who said he had CP material. Okay. During their investigation into Moster, police found CP photos and videos of what appeared to be children. Investigators believe Moster communicated with several people via online accounts, namely children. They asked parents who believe that their child may have communicated with said person up here. Dakota Moster. Don't name your kid Dakota either, by the way, people. Because Dakota is also the name of, no, hold on. Is it Dakota? Yeah, isn't it Dakota that people were thinking to do with Delphi? He's that was that 20-year-old. Remember that 20-year-old that was sentenced for unaliving, I think his girlfriend or something like that. And he was like this young, good-looking dude, 20 years old, and whole life gone. And he lived like around Delphi or somewhere near Delphi or in Delphi area. But I think I feel like his name was Dakota too. And I'm like, that must be a very common name out there or something. There's a lot of different names out there that I keep seeing, like Emily Ann seems to be a common name. Whereas not here. So a lot of these names aren't very popular here that you hear of, but Dakota was one as a name that I keep seeing a lot of. But anyways, you guys, so of course, thank you, Linda, for sending me that information. We'll take that off. Oh, there we are. We're nice and big now. So let's see. What did you say there, Adam?
Oh, I was just agreeing with Ginger there. As far as she said that's what they did as far as the victim impact statements and then sentencing that.
Yeah. We'll go about,
and that's standard.
Oh yeah. We'll go about another 12 minutes and then we're gonna head off, guys. Lewis.
So,
yes.
When it comes to Richard Allen, okay, this part drives me bonkers. So he parks at the CPS building, apparently. Okay, so he parks at the CPS building. He arrives 22 minutes prior to the girls arriving, 21 or 22 minutes prior to the girls arriving. He's been seen, right, coming down, all that stuff. And he's seen on the first rung that he's supposedly looking at his fish stock and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. What always gets me is that it was almost like a race. Like, I got to get here, like get there 22 minutes early, past people. Someone sees me that's 50 feet away. Doesn't matter. Hey, yeah, look, I'm wearing those clothes, zooms across the thing, gets Abby and Libby. But don't forget, people keep forgetting this certain thing again about, like I was talking about the other day. I mean, the BG, regardless of what you guys believe or don't believe, but BG has headphones on, a headset on. They're clear as day in pictures, like clear as day. So when this is what gets me, that in prime daylight, that you have somebody that's going to show up, race against time almost was what it feels like. Zoom, zip across, and doesn't matter who sees them or not like that. And then, I don't know, like, that's what's really bugging me about this whole thing. Like, it just seems like it was this coming through, people. I got to be here at a certain time. Get out of my way, coming through. Got to be here. What do you make
That's
of
one of the
that?
reasons I think that he was told to meet somebody there at that time. It
I
just seems too planned and too strategic to just, oh, I'm going to show up at this time and do this.
Yeah.
He gives off, from what we know, all the signs of somebody that was there to meet somebody else.
Right. And I agree with that. Myself personally, it's but it's I just feel that if he was there to do it himself, I just don't feel that someone would even remotely, like, not the brightest bulb in the world. And I think Richard Allen is, bright to a point in certain things. I just can't see that he just, would knowingly allow himself to be, by parking, then walking, then people see him. He knows this because he's seen 3 girls. One of them tries to say hello. The person keeps their head down, keeps walking. That, he walks back along the road, supposedly all muddy and bloody. And that someone, he's on the thing, again, like he's on the, what do you want to call it? The first, what do you call that? Platform. Thank you. The first platform. And yeah, and then somebody sees, someone's 50 feet away and clearly sees them. And then he continues on course as if, like, no care in the world. I can't see someone that's going to commit a crime unless they literally want to get caught. But then he was like, yeah, I was there, but, oh, you guys don't believe I was even, what? I'm not of interest to you? So, okay, but I did turn myself in, kind of, but you guys are so stupid, you overlooked me. Like, so that's how I feel. Like, no person to me that's going to go out and do, the job is going to be like, coming through, got a package, people, let's go. I keep picturing Jim Carrey in my head.
We all agree that he's the person that can outsmart the FBI, the state police, the county police, the sheriff, the local, the DNR. I mean, he's just that good.
Yeah, apparently, right? Isn't it? I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how smart he probably didn't know he was.
Well, you can't find out his history because he was probably like some undercover CIA assassin for years, and we just don't know that.
Yeah. Regardless of the video, Shelley, bottom line is he parked, he walked, people saw him, so it's not, you know what I mean? Usually someone that's going to try to, unalive someone is probably going to try to be a little bit more stealthy about, unaliving somebody, not really sit there and put themselves right. You know what I mean? You'd be going, maybe parking at the CPS building, perhaps, but you would kind of probably be cutting through those woods on an angle to get where you needed to go. You're not going to be literally walking down the road, like walking down the pathway and being like, oh, here I am, and witnesses that have seen him, like, it's just like he's wearing regular clothes in a sense. It's not, I mean, yeah, he has stuff and whatever, but I don't even know where that plays into a part in it. I know he has stuff. And in my head, I'm like, so was he already walking down the road with this ridiculous stuff that he has on, like looking like, I don't even know, to be honest with you. I don't believe personally he is. I think, Lewis, do you at all believe that the Paladinos are going to play a part in this? Or even if they're not brought up, like, meaning, let's say they've flubbed the evidence so bad, their best bet is just trying to get a conviction on, Richard Allen, perhaps. Do you think the Paladinos have anything to do with this?
What I do know first is everybody in the very beginning has made it clear in law enforcement and the district attorney that this is a very complex, complicated scenario, which means there's way more things involved than you could possibly imagine, which means a guy didn't just park his car, walk over there and wait for a victim. So we know that's not a possibility. And if it's as complicated as they've made it seem, with all the different reading between the lines and direct statements combined, because a lot of it was direct and some of it you got to read between the lines with tentacles and stuff like that. We know that that's not the scenario. They've made it known that it's not one person. They think that there's more involved. They won't commit to that, but they say that it's a possibility. Different interviews from 17 and 18 from the sheriff have said the same thing. So you have to believe that there's way more that they have that says there's more involved that we don't know about.
Yes.
Which means, which means it has to spread into something that we're not considering, or we've considered but we don't know. So is that a possibility with them being in the similar area and being involved with different things that I think sort of connect back to this? Yeah, it's a good chance that they might pop up in there. But there's a good chance that a lot of other people that have been mentioned might pop up in here too, because you don't have locals throwing names out there if there's not some rumor around town of some involvement. And we're finding out now, after Richard Allen was arrested, that a lot of these rumors from early on were actually true. You know, the whole thing about hearing the gun and a bullet being involved and things like that. Those were early rumors that wound up being shot down, and now we know that these are actual accurate things. So I put a lot more faith into the local rumors than I do the online video stipulations and guessing.
Yeah.
So my gut call is we're going to be extremely surprised, but I think whatever else is involved is going to be something that we've talked about way before Kline was ever a name that was mentioned.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Adam, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah.
No? You just sitting there looking pretty?
But before we run off, though, can you do me a favor? I sent you a picture on Messenger. Can you throw that up for a minute? This is a case that with the eye being an issue, I've just been listening to stuff, and this is a gentleman that lives in Illinois by Chicago that works in Indiana. It seems he doesn't have a lot of family, but he's got a lot of friends through the sport. He's a big sports fan, so he goes to all these things and he knows all the people involved. He makes himself vocal and well known, and he disappeared the other night. He works, I believe, at UPS it is, and he doesn't have his own car, so he's got a guy that drives for Uber that he became friends with that runs him back and forth to work. And if you believe what this guy has said, because he's gone public too, that he even went to this gentleman's job the next day after he dropped him off that morning, because he works overnight, to find out where he was because he wasn't responding to text messages. But this has sort of grown up in a few weeks to be a pretty big following, and he's sort of a local guy, and it's a real weird situation with how he disappeared. It doesn't sound like it's too legit. It sounds like there's some, bad people possibly involved, and they made this poster up a couple weeks ago. I just want to see if you can throw that out so people can see it. And I know on Facebook it's spreading with locals, but I don't think it's getting out there in the news like it should.
Okay, so
his name is Richard, and like I said, he takes Uber, but Uber's expensive. So out in this way, when you've got somebody that's doing it on a regular basis, you get a local guy that does drive Uber that might wind up doing it on the side, and I think that's the case here. And he's been driving him back and forth to the different things, and he built up a rapport with him and became friends. And the last contact was him dropping him off that day after work, and when he went to pick him up the next day, he wasn't available. Didn't answer his text messages,
He's 46 years old from Chicago, Illinois. So March 15th is when that's my mom's birthday.
And he works in Indiana though, so he travels from Chicago to Indiana back and forth every day by ride or by Uber.
Okay, so he's a Hispanic male, 5'4", 155 pounds, bald, brown eyes, graying beard, glasses. Circumstances: last seen being dropped off at his residence on South Commercial Avenue in Chicago. He did not call or show up for his job at FedEx, which is not in his character. He has not been seen or heard from since. There have been no confirmed sightings. If you have any information on Richard's disappearance or whereabouts, please call the police. So it's one of those things, you guys, if you guys could do, Lewis a favor, and I'll put this into the I'll put this onto the community page, and I'll put it onto my Twitter here. I'll share it in our Facebook. I'll share it to my Facebook. Hold on a second. Let me just hit.
Now, what I
share.
can't get over is this guy doesn't have a lot of family. Some family members are on the groups, and he had like a small cluster of friends. But the amount of people that are responding on the different chat boards that said that I didn't know him personally, but he had a big part of my life involved with these boards and sports and stuff. It's amazing the connection of friends that he's got from online. And they actually went out last weekend. They did a vigil and another search door to door. And it just is a weird situation. And it's not in his demeanor, from what people that know him have said, to just go off and disappear like this. So hopefully there's not real foul play involved. But like I said, it's been bothering me since I first heard about it. And the more I keep reading, the more people that don't know him, that just know of him, are coming out with nothing but nice things to say about their interactions. So,
okay, I'm just I've just been sharing it to my social media. I shared it to the Debs group. I shared it to our group. I shared it I shared it to It's a Crime and Shame Facebook page, as well as the Missing Suzanne and Other Cases page. And I'll share it out to Twitter. And I just need to share it to my own personal Facebook here as well.
What I didn't like in the beginning with this situation was Chicago and Indiana were fighting over what police department was going to handle the missing person case, and I think they lost a crucial day or two because of that.
Right.
It's a shame when you've got somebody that's on the state line and commingles between two states on a regular basis, how you could have such a fight over jurisdiction. They should be fighting over who's not going to look into it, not who should be looking into it.
So neither of them wanted the responsibility?
Yeah. Yeah, it took 2 days to decide who should be responsible. It should have taken 24 hours to say we should both be looking, because he's in two places, in his normal daily life. But,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
actually, the police actually made them make the group that I belong to go quiet, which I don't like that either. That was kind of an odd thing to come out with, but.
Right.
I just shared it to the community page as well, you guys, on there.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'll share it to my Twitter in just a bit here as well. Actually, I'll probably just do that now, since I'm thinking to do it, or else I might forget.
But I thought it was very odd that the police actually made the cousin shut down the chat group on Facebook.
You thought it was, sorry, say that one more time, Lewis?
His cousin that lives in Indiana posts regularly, and she was running the group and a chat group that was linked to it. And she posted yesterday that the Chicago police had them stop using the chat group.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's because they might suspect somebody that was in there or what, but I've never seen police get involved with the actual chat group on Facebook before when they're looking for somebody.
Okay, so I shared it to that. And hold on, Adam, you sent me something?
Yeah, I just sent you a little, just a little 30-second clip. It's an excerpt from my my video I put out tonight on Jacob Blackford. But Jacob Blackford's the 14-year-old in Indianapolis that is still missing. And this is just a really brief clip of a video that he put out of himself back in October of 2022. But it shows Jacob, it shows his movement, and anyone in the Indianapolis area. This kid's 14 years old, and by all accounts, he's out on the streets. So anyone with any information, you can call Crime Stoppers or 911, please. He's with a foster family, but his birth mother is desperate for information. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there is no sound to it, guys. Just so you know, it's just simply what you're looking at there. Again, a case that Adam's been following here. Facebook there. Okay, so sorry, Adam, what day did he go missing on?
March 21st.
March 21st.
It was last Tuesday.
And
there have been some rumored sightings of him, but nothing confirmed.
confirmed
The Department of Child Services is investigating it, but I mean, you know, there are a lot of Indianapolis is a big town, and and some of the areas that, you know, there's a I'm not sure which church, but there was a church food pantry that he was rumored to have been seen at early on. I mean, because we're 8-9 days into him being missing now. And then there was some reports of him being seen around a tent city area of Indianapolis, which I've gotten several messages about saying how unsafe and dangerous that area is. And, you know, but again, those are rumors. They're not substantiated. So I don't know.
Yeah. And again, that's, you guys, that's why it's important. All you have to do is hit the share button, you know, that way it gets movement, right? And then other people pick up on it as well and stuff like that. So if you could hit the share for the live, just to your social media, share. Again, I put out the, I'm sorry, Lewis. What was the gentleman's name that you had up
Richard
there?
Garcia. Yeah, Richard Garcia. And then here's an interesting fact. He's been missing now for 2 weeks. He went missing on the night of the 15th, but his parents' 50th anniversary was coming up, and he had a friend of his commissioned to make up a post and a picture and stuff to commemorate the 50th anniversary. And when he was done with it, he asked Richard if he wanted him to deliver it. He says, no, hold off about a week because I want to present it, you know, on their anniversary. And that was before he disappeared. So this gentleman didn't just walk away. He had plans to do things within the week or two before he disappeared that he had no signs of showing that he wasn't going to follow through with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sonny, you can take that down now.
Okay. I was just showing it just so that, you know, if people share it.
It was because it's just on a loop. So
yeah.
Their anniversary was the 24th of March. And when the guy wanted to present it to him early, he told him, no, let's hold off to the 24th because when you post it, I want to put some words up. So this gentleman had plans past the 15th of things to do, and he had no intentions of not following through with them. So it's kind of a upsetting thing, the things that keep popping up here.
Sad. I know last time we talked, you had mentioned his case already. So and that was early on.
I mentioned it to you like 2 days after. I mean, like, it was the second day he went missing. And like I said, I don't know him personally, but he belongs to groups that I'm on. So I see his name and it popped up that next day when people questioned it. And
right. And, you know, and sadly, you know, when you don't fall into a demographic that catches a lot of attention, it's easier for people not to pay it, for, you know, to slip through the cracks and people to not, you know, give it as much attention. So thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention.
Yeah, I said it's odd, and like you mentioned when I first put the thing in chat that you know, when you hit that group of age and males and with no real family, there's nothing really to follow up with that. And in this case, you can see the police didn't show any real need to jump into it. Their initial contact was, "Are we responsible? No, maybe Chicago's responsible." And then a city like Chicago is not the easiest thing to get the ball rolling.
Right, because I mean, look at, like, that was a business guy in, was it Mississippi Sonny, that went missing, and then they found him, you know, rolled up in a carpet, and you know.
Yeah, that was to do.
That's a weird. That's a real weird scenario. Still, the way that's. Yeah. Have you followed up with that or no?
Yeah, we were talking about the other night. So basically, it seems like obviously, you know, secretly or maybe not so secretly, he obviously had a substance abuse going on. Plus, it was said
maybe
that he was,
more.
And that looking to achieve a lady that night as well. So he's kind of like that guy that comes off prim and proper, and then behind the closed doors, he has definitely skeletons in his closet. And that's exactly what happened. Probably the skeletons in his closet. And then basically, you know, the guy, whatever, wanted to rob him and take his money and, you know, basically OD'd. He OD'd on whatever he was given. And so maybe he didn't intend for him to OD, who knows, but he did, and rolled him up in a carpet. He actually was put there, of course. He didn't actually, you know, die there, but
He didn't do that himself? He didn't roll himself up in that carpet?
No, I know it was the
Oh,
darndest
wow.
thing. I was thinking he was cold, rolled himself up, suffocated himself. Well, obviously, but no. So, I mean, I think it was pretty obvious that the person that they had in custody or that they knew was with them, basically,
Yeah.
he was trying to get a reward out of it.
Yeah.
By turning him, by basically, getting a reward, saying that he knows where he is, and give me some reward money. But of course, he ended up, the same guy that was basically trying to give information, of course, is the guy that actually did it. So yeah, like a homeless guy, whatever. So, but that's what happens when you play with fire. So if you lead a life of shadiness, in a sense, and that's really what happened there, is that obviously he wasn't, he was looking to get a fix, and his fix led him to his demise. And unfortunately, the family now not only has to deal with his death, but has to deal with probably the fact that they had no clue about this secondary life he was leading behind their backs as well. And yeah,
Did they actually confirm that though? Were they able to confirm that's what he was looking to do, or is it still hypothesis?
No. Sorry, that he was looking to do what?
That he was looking to score drugs, or because when I was looking a little while back, they were saying that could be a possibility. Did they ever find concrete proof that that's what he was doing?
Yeah, I mean, they found. Well, the bottom line is they found it, like it was in the autopsy report, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, but I mean, anybody could give you a hot shot and do that
yeah.
to unalive you. So I didn't know
Yeah.
if they found something conclusive after that they released, because I didn't see anything like that up until last week. But
I was gonna say, I'm in my head, I'm trying to go back to the article exactly, and that was like the news report basically saying that, he was given some bad
stuff,
stuff, and that basically he, so obvious, meaning he was obviously with the guy because he was trying to score something, right?
I just read something about I can't remember what it's called, a really bad batch of something going through Indiana right now. Ashley posted it, Blaine's ex, or Blaine's partner.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what it's called now, but it was like but it's something I guess was mixed into that's basically like a lethal dose of something.
You know what? I vaguely remember this in a news report that they were talking about this batch of this new mixture, in a sense, that was very lethal. And I can't think of it either, Adam. But it wasn't because of Ashley. It was because I remember
it had a street name that I was unfamiliar with. Yeah,
and I can't think of it either. I just remember listening to it, and I was like, "Oh, like another one."
I think that is it. The xylitol. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I was listening to that too, and unfortunately, can you say it's not going to get any better?
No,
it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. Yeah. Zombie juice.
Trank. Yeah, Trank is the street name.
Mm.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys. Okay, so you know what? We have a live tomorrow. We'll start it at 9:30. I think most people said, at least a couple people said 9:30. So we'll start it around that time. Unless of course I get bored before that and start it just a few minutes sooner myself. I don't know. Just depends. Anyways, other than that, Adam said, you know what, Sonny, you have some rest. I'll make the thumbnail for tomorrow. Sounded like that.
I heard that.
I feel like it's been a while. I feel like Adam's thumbnail might be better than mine. Yeah. See, he's nodding. He's agreeing.
How hard is it? But how hard is it to put a fat guy on a picture and say guilty?
Well, you got to throw the Twinkies on there too. You got to put the Twinkies. You got to put the Twinkies on the ground out of the like jail cell there of Miami County. Yeah. You know what? We'll just use the same one, and I'll just twist it up a little bit. That's what I'll do. Pretty much use the same one almost. Anyways, Lewis, yeah, unfortunately you got some appointments to go to, or you won't even to it. But thank you again for, again, I know that there's going to be all this different stuff coming on, so I'm sure you'll be on again hopefully soon with us, because now that it's amping up a little bit again, always nice to have your thoughts and joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate it, you guys. It was good to be back on. Now I can actually see a little bit better when I'm looking at the screen. It's not all discombobulated.
How was your eyes throughout the live with your light being on? Was it okay?
It's not bad. I'm not getting a horrible headache from the light. I'm not really staring at the movement too much, but before 10, 15 minutes in, the pain was so bad I have to keep my head down. Yeah. And it's not bad now.
And there's nothing fun about that stuff, right? There's nothing fun about that stuff.
Just chilling. It's weird. It is what it is. I can't change it. It's not doing what the doctors say it will do, and that's a good thing, I think, because it's changing, and change is always good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, you guys. Well, we're gonna get off of here. It's just over the 2-hour mark. Josh, I won't go enjoy that live. You're gonna have to watch the replay or something. It's a good live. Anyways, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time for that. And we'll just leave it at that for tomorrow. And thanks again, Lewis, and thank you, of course, Adam, and thank you, Sunny, for showing up. Yeah, you guys.
I was going to say thank you, Sunny. Make sure you hit that like button if you didn't already on your way in. Make sure you hit it on your way out.
Yeah.
And if you do want to hear more about Jacob, I put a video out tonight giving the most up-to-date stuff about him. So please watch that or share it to your social media, whatever.
Yeah. And again, exactly. Okay. And I shared it all to my social media for Lewis there. Richard Garcia. Okay, I was right. Okay, you guys, take care. Have a good night. Bye, guys.
Good night, everyone.
I really need to do an outro.